And finally, this is the Corsa Exhaust review that I've been meaning to make for a while. So, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tedward, and this is my E92 M3. Quick reminder in case you didn't watch the install video, the only thing that was changed on this exhaust system was the mufflers. We removed the OEM exhaust, that big fat, and installed these black tip Corsas. So, I was nervous about doing this because this is my daily driver, and I'm 30. I don't want to be in some loud, shouty, obnoxious vehicle that wakes up my neighbors and annoys my coworkers. But these are kind of a compromise because at the top end, they are wild. When it's idling, it's a little burbly, but it's not waking the neighbors. My biggest concern, however, was drone. And Corsa's big claim to fame is they're droneless. This is a droneless exhaust system, and I have my doubts because there's not a whole lot in those cans. It's pretty much just nothing. So, getting on the highway with this car for the first week or so, I genuinely thought I had an exhaust leak. I was probably getting under the car, every couple of days just to check. I see that's an exhaust leak. Every couple of days just to check if those clamps really were mated up properly and if we did a good job. Now that I'm used to it, this is 75 miles an hour, inside the car, windows up. You hear it, it's there, but it's not drone. It's not that like piercing, whoa. It's not that awful sound. When you get a little over 3,000 RPM, you definitely notice it a little bit more. So let's do that at about 80 so you can hear that. Miles an hour. Now you're starting to have a little more intrusive noise from the exhaust, just at steady state. If you get on throttle, it's definitely there. You get off throttle, it goes away. But steady state, it's clear that you've modified something. It's not, I don't know, to say droneless is kind of an exaggeration, but I'll give it to them. They kind of get away with it because it's not an obnoxious noise. For the longest time, my gripe with the Corsa exhaust was its appearance. I didn't really like that it was just two big fat cans replacing that nice sleek one-piece muffler. Not to say that the one-piece muffler from BMW was a looker, but at the very least, it provided a nice flat surface under the car, and technically, that's going to create low pressure, i.e. downforce. I also want to comment on the installation. Installation was pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Thank you to Powen for helping that. But what I will say, there's one thing that bothered me about this, is at the back, where the two mufflers at the very back, where they hang, there's hangers. They've got the two little hanger guys. They were actually touching. So the tips were touching, yes, that's lovely. And every time I'd start the car, I'd notice this like kind of sound with metal on metal. And I was like, oh no, something must be broken in this exhaust system. Turns out it was just those two guys touching. And what I did to mitigate that was I just shoved a piece of plastic between them. We'll maybe make a more permanent solution, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make that noise anymore, so I don't really care. Let's also talk price. This is $1,900. It's a pretty sweet sound for $1,900, and I did not pay $1,900 because I bought it used. You can get this sound for $1,200, and it's still legal. I've got primary cats, secondary cats. I've changed nothing that's going to impact the emissions of the vehicle. It's just purely sound. So now I have an E92 M3 that sounds like this. The important things on an exhaust system are, how does it sound inside, how does it sound outside, and does it look good, right? I think it sounds pretty awesome outside. And inside, with the windows up, I'm definitely aware that there's some modification going on, but it's not outrageous. You might just think BMW got a little excited when they designed this exhaust for the car if you weren't familiar with the stock setup. But the real excitement is when you put the windows down next to a wall or inside a tunnel. These things scream and it sounds fantastic. So my final thoughts on the Corsa exhaust. I like the way it sounds inside, I like the way it sounds outside, and I like the price. So if you need to make your M3 sound a little better, open up that S65 and at least give yourself the opportunity to make some really nasty downshifts as you approach the car show or your driveway, however it may be. This is not a bad route to go. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Sorry I have not been making prolific amounts of videos on Tedward right now, but we are going to be doing more Respect the Drive episodes, and I've been spending a lot of time filming for Winding Road Magazine. So, of course, go ahead over there and subscribe to them after you subscribe to me. You guys didn't think I was going to leave you hanging without a tunnel run, did you? Sounds so good. So it turns out this is actually a good segue into this weekend because we're gonna take the M5 on a road trip. I'm going to the airport right now to pick up my sister from Salt Lake City. She is a lot smarter than me. She's a doctor and operates on baby hearts. Probably doesn't want me to tell you that. But anyway, listen to this. I don't operate on baby hearts. I just make loud noises in tunnels. I love how grunty this thing is. But at the same time, the high end, still bonkers.